the only other important pirate. Shanks is obviously important. So of course he's at the important pirate ship. Like, I have media comprehension skills, yes. Like, come on.
I mean, we haven't seen Mr.
Oh, I'm
Roger
sorry. He
here.
must have been on Alvida's ship. Like, get the hell out of here.
Mal, are you still a One Piece hater? The return.
The return.
For the conclusion of Orange Town, the final 2 episodes of it.
Okay.
I am Diazzo. This is Mal, or Malcor as I have him listed in his little box, which is... I can't even remember from the video edit where it would be in regards to me. I think it's over there. Way over there. Yeah.
Too much. Yeah, we're here. We're back, and we've gone through the first 6 episodes. We've watched a little bit of One Piece history in terms of exploring the different locales and everything else. I guess more geography.
Yeah, we just got done watching Breathtaking World of One Piece, which is a fantastic little video. It's a shame it got removed from YouTube fairly recently.
Sounds about right.
Because honestly, like, some of the best sort of advertising materials out there are videos like that. So it's kind of a shame. But in terms of where we are, we just got done with the dog. Or possibly done with the dog, to Mal's hope. And yeah, we've got Buggy to deal with. We've got a map to get. Let's go straight into it then.
Oh, Luffy. He's not made of rubber. He's old. I know you don't want him to fight.
So you're more on Nami's side on this then?
I'm not saying he was wrong to take him out, but yes, there were plenty of other ways you could do it. Other than concussing an old man. You know, why is he so mad? Like, I get it if somebody says it and they sincerely think you're ugly, but he's just saying this to be annoying.
Yeah, I think it's also like someone that's kind of used to getting their way a lot of the time as well, not getting that.
True. Damn, he deflected a buggy ball?
And honestly, like, explosion from
that's probably Luffy's greatest feat to date, to be honest, you know. Deflecting a buggy ball. And I include Gear 5 in that. I don't think Gear 5 Luffy could handle buggy ball. You know. I went through so many houses.
I mean, that one barely did anything. That was like just a dust cloud. Like, he just needed 2 guys to block it for him.
Yeah, that's my question also. He's using his henchmen as shields. Why are his henchmen even viable options as shields? If they're that damn sturdy, I'd put them in front of me too.
One Piece humans are surprisingly sturdy, as you will find out.
I guess it's good to know. Ooh, nice kick. Luffy's early season kicks are looking good. I feel like this guy was supposed to be Zoro.
I think there was something like that. There is a very much a similarity in terms of their general design aesthetic.
Yeah, and also their, like, attitude. I feel like they were supposed to either be partners or rivals or something like that. Old man arsonist. Oh! You're getting your ass beat by a man on a unicycle, Zoro.
I can't imagine it being very easy to kick while being on a unicycle.
That's true, it does take skill.
It's the awkward squeaking and having to readjust his balance constantly just to talk, you know?
Yeah, that's what it was happening. Well, it's a good thing he calls himself an acrobat then, because you're getting your
Hmm.
ass kicked.
I don't care too much about Cabbagey, but I do like the names of his moves. Just how random as hell they are.
Yo, you're trying too hard. Luffy has the darkness that people pretend Gon has. Gon doesn't have darkness, he has selfishness. Luffy is straight up dark. He's also selfish, but he is straight up dark in nature.
In his first few episodes, he really does have that more threatening vibe at times, Luffy.
He really does. It's not even close. Like, my idea of Luffy is just being like super dumb and whiny all the time. But although I don't think he's always been reasonable, in fact, he's quite literally unreasonable. You know, it'd be cool if she could just memorize it right then and there. She didn't need to steal it.
He's had the line.
Yeah, he did. There's a lot I like there, but Zoro's technique, they did not know what the hell that looked like, and it shows. That was like some Power Rangers level animation, and not in a good way. That was not it.
I'll be honest.
The bad guy's unicycle attack should not look cooler than Zoro's iconic finishing move. That's all I'm saying.
I'd certainly say for this sort of fight, yeah. But I think for Zoro's fights, I don't think of his fight versus Cabbagey at all.
This is Zoro's like one of his first real fights with Luffy. What do you mean, but why?
There's way more creativity in this fight compared to like the Zoro Cabbagey.
I mean, Cabbagey carried his in. That's all I'm saying. Cabbagey, my new #1 swordsman. Until Mihawk shows up and proves otherwise, Cabbagey is #1. Oh. The classic anime grunts. Reliving the trauma
from just like 3 episodes ago.
Nah, I don't think he got it from Ace. He probably got it from some girlfriend or something, or like maybe his like orphan dad or whatever.
You really dig the Buggy voice actor, don't you?
No, it's just funny. Man, it's like First Amendment. So you betrayed Buggy, but I don't necessarily think that Shanks did something explicitly bad to Buggy. Like, he might have. It's probably more a betrayal of ideals, seeing how materialistic and, in fact, Buggy's not even materialistic in the sense of like, money is power and that's all that matters. He's like, no, money is image, and image is power, and that's what matters. And so Shanks probably was his usual humble self, to the point of foolery and consequences, and Buggy was disappointed by it at some point. That's what I would guess. The question is what? We know Buggy has a gum gum fruit, Shanks doesn't, even though he had one on his ship. So it could be relating to that. Like, one of them ate it, one of them didn't, and kind of feels like you left me behind or something.
I will do the shouting for the comment section and correct you here, because you keep calling it a gum gum fruit. That is specific.
Well, he had chop chop fruit, and and Shanks had the gum gum fruit. That's what I mean. He just didn't eat it. That's what I'm saying. Like, Shanks had the gum gum fruit, he didn't eat it, but it seemed like he recently acquired that, so probably not. But I just do find it odd that, like, one of them has devil powers and the other one doesn't, and one of them cares about their image and the other one doesn't, to the point where both of them are suffering because Buggy is arrogant with his powers, and Shanks got his arm torn off. He would have loved to chop fruit at that moment. Although I guess he would have drowned, but still. Oh yeah, I have a question. Can Buggy use his chop fruit on the sea? Like, can you use gum powers if you're like on a ship?
On a ship, yeah. It's just when you're submerged.
Okay, so he could theoretically, as long as he didn't get splashed too much, use his gum to just float himself across an ocean.
Like, he can't like turn himself into a raft necessarily, or at least nothing of that.
Well, he can fly though. Can he fly?
Luffy?
No.
Oh, sorry, Buggy. No, Buggy can't. Well,
but he can make his limbs levitate individually.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you the explain for this. Like, it is like explained like way later on. So his feet need to be touching the ground, but the rest of his body can fly, and there's like a certain sort of distance he can get away from his feet.
Okay, so I actually remember hearing about that. Maybe it was in the Netflix thing, but
maybe it was.
I swore he launched his foot or something. Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought he launched.
He actually did at one point during it, which
yeah. So whatever.
Oh, there was one thing I was going to bring up about the Cabbagey thing. So Zoro in the manga doesn't let Cabbagey just stab him; he stabs himself. Which,
yeah. As a point to prove of like, you think you hold something over me, I'm just gonna stab myself, which I don't like. There are shows, like one of my favorites, Bleach, who have done the whole protagonist injures themselves to prove a point thing. And it's not a clever play, like they're like injuring themselves as a form of misdirect or whatever. They're just actually doing it or just for like honor's sake or whatever. Zoro doing it there is just...
it's an attempted flex.
Yeah,
emphasis
but it's
on
like...
attempted.
From what I remember in the manga, like, he does it, like, they don't have the age rating. He doesn't like pull out his intestines and like try and lasso the guy. Like he's not actually flexing on him. He's just stabbing himself, which is like if he like did the classic burn it shut kind of thing, then I could see that being like, oh, I can grin and bear pain for the sake of being functional. But to actively hamper yourself is just like that's self-harm, dude. There's no you're straight up just hurting yourself for a guy that does not care and is gonna fight you anyway. Uh yeah, like Zabuza being a mangled mess at the end of his fight and still getting revenge on the bridge guy, or the anti-bridge guy, I should say. That's a cool scene where a guy's injured and he's a beast anyway, and people get so scared of how injured he is they don't even fight him. Him just like I don't know. I'm not in love with Zoro's performance this episode. There's a few qualms I have with it. It's not flashy. It's not thought out. It's not giving proper peerage into his character as like a person worthy following or like learning more about or growing from. But Luffy held up his side. Nami was fine. I find it annoying when characters like have opportunities to be rich and then it's like, oh, but if the characters have money, they won't have plot. Well, maybe they didn't deserve to have plot if that's the only reason why. So let her steal something and actually receive a reward from it. As a person who is a dungeon master, a game master for D&D, like don't let your players steal loot and then not be able to use it. That's just obnoxious.
Yeah. As a fellow DM, yes, I will agree. I do remember the point
I hope
that
the wealth actually comes of like value or something.
I do remember the point I had before your disconnect, and that was my view of Buggy and Treasure. I think he's a full-on Kool-Aid drinker, honestly. It's like, oh, yes, Treasure, I love Treasure. The concept of
he's
the
acting
compet
about Treasure. That's funny.
It's almost Treasure for Treasure's sake, but he himself doesn't know the full reason why he likes Treasure. In a way.
I could see a little bit of that, but I mean I kind of disagree because he says it like for him, treasure is something you wear to let other people know that you are valuable. Like for him, it's like this is what status is, and status is power.
Yeah, but I think he only buys into that because that's commonly accepted.
I don't know. A lot of people value treasure so they can live an easy life, or so they can buy what they want. Like he doesn't want treasure so he can have an army and get what he actually wants. He wants treasure for this purpose of being viewed a certain way. And I think that's quite telling about his character, especially when you consider how vain he is about his nose as well. Like, it makes sense to me.
Okay, you know what?
That he was probably some kind of little bilge rat and saw the treasure and saw the status and overly equated the two in a way that, like, for a true pirate, especially, like, Captain Roger, who him and Shanks were under, the treasure was just a bonus. It's a matter of course because he is a powerful and charismatic visionary in his own mind and persona and whatever. And so the treasure is just like, something that happens that is useful, but it's not where that status actually comes from. It comes from himself. And I think Buggy's missing that. And that's what makes him shallow and weak.
Comment below why you think Buggy, likes treasure. Put your thesis down there. You've heard our points in regards to it.
Or give us some votes. Let us know who's on it and who's full of crap.
You'll see. But anyway, in terms of seeing, Buggy and Shanks and to get a bit more context and all that, we'll jump into the next episode now.
Yes. Stole enormous riches from me, yeah. Buggy probably felt entitled to riches and Shanks gave it away for some humanitarian reason or something like that.
Based on the geography, I am very curious about what the North and South Pole kind of look like.
I'm surprised at how old they draw them here. 'Cause I think in the manga they're way younger. They're like toddlers. These guys look like teenagers.
I can't remember their actual age here. I think they are more like 11 or 12.
You and everyone else here never talk seriously about treasure. So even on the Rogers ship, or fleet, or whatever.
So you actually both, you know where they were at this point then? Just gone ahead and said it.
Yeah, he's the only other important pirate. Shanks is obviously important. So of course he's at the important pirate ship. Like, I have media comprehension skills, yes. Like, come on.
No, I mean, we haven't seen Mr.
Oh, I'm
Roger
sorry,
here.
he must have been on Alvida's ship. Like, get the hell out of here. So even back here, Shanks is still the better fighter. Incarnations of the Sea Devil. That's very interesting. I wonder if there's like a source tree that the fruits come from that like has all these powers, or is one of the creatures or things responsible for turning this into an ocean planet. Jesus, he ate in one bite. Sure you didn't already have the gum gum?
Have the bite for it.
Yeah.
Pretty
He
good
made a
job.
convincing face. Yeah, that what?
That's some skill.
Must have spent like an hour carving fruit. Yeah, that was way funny. Oh man. Luffy's got that gop fruit. That's what he's got. Yo, they just swallowed a giant melon.
Okay, we are back, apparently.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Discord is acting up.
Yeah, I have no idea where it lost connection.
That's about it. That's about it.
Okay. Map falling over.
Yeah, Buggy swallowed the fruit. It was friggin' hilarious. ICD's got that gop fruit because he can swallow an entire melon, an entire pineapple in one swift motion. If anything was going on between him and Shanks, Shanks would be a very happy man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Was it true you lose the ability to swim? So he didn't even know. Also, I find it interesting that the crew was not making a big deal out of him eating a fruit that gives you immense powers.
Maybe at that point it's more a dime a dozen.
So Shanks hit you. That's not what I'm trying to say.
I mean, she did kind of like walk back into the open on the street. Honestly, that's probably more terrifying than before.
Yeah. Yep, I knew it. Why didn't he hide his legs?
Here are the civilians. You want to know their reaction to things.
Wow, what kind of citizens are we if we can't keep our mayor safe? I can't even imagine what it must be like to live in a world like that. Like, it's like that movie with the bug hunters. A citizen protects his country. You better hide his whatever's missing. Oh god, his feet. Yeah, you better hide those.
I always find it weird when like crowns are used as treasure, like in that sort
Yeah,
of way.
they just like are such an idea of treasure, but like people don't make crowns that often.
Oh no, guys, we got robbed. We need to make the replacement crown for the king now.
Yeah, they would make like rods or necklaces or headbands, but not a straight up crown. Like, what was he gonna do if she didn't give it to him? Huh? Was he gonna like say we gotta fight?
Probably just
Or
like forget about it for a moment, then like, oh yeah, she had that. Well, I guess we've got to find another one.
yeah, that's probably what it would be. As annoying as that sounds. Yeah.
Is this what you were worried about?
Yeah. I appreciate Zoro's laughter though, that was good.
That's not always the happy send-off.
Why do you make things worse? Because it's empowering. He gave them an opportunity to fight off the bad guys. Here's my problem with that. There is like a world where they're empowered by this to fight and they get better and better. And there's another world where they fight somebody they really shouldn't because you don't show them how bad Pirates is.
The dog callback. Thoughts?
I get it. I also am like, walk past the dog. But I love the dog, I get it. What happened to Buggy's parts? They kind of skipped that here.
They get addressed later on.
Okay.
And that's the other callback.
Mm. Where am I? Who hurt me?
I've got some memory loss from this concussion.
My Alzheimer's is advanced by 10 years. We have to have the goodbyes. I like his expression. Okay, I appreciate that he only left one of them. That does sound familiar. Oh dear, we're cutting out again.
Yeah,
Oh god.
I mean, it's basically the end.
Yeah, it's basically the end. I appreciate that he actually kept half of it. Which,
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
The Usopp pose. I liked quite a bit of the Buggy stuff and his crew. Zoro had some good moments of just being a strong man at the beginning, but his fight at the end there was not it. It was better in the manga because at least then it's like stronger panel work.
Hmm.
And they didn't take advantage of the medium of animation of that, like you can actually enact stuff, you know. Nami was fine, especially in these last episodes. Luffy has continued to be solid, and while I do find him annoyingly dumb, like not in a fun way dumb sometimes, as long as he still has these moments of insight and like, you know, nuanced morality and that sort of thing, then I'll still be happy with him. But
I'll,
I'm watching out. I'm watching out.
I'll say like on that front, like I think that nuance exists throughout. I don't think you've got anything to worry about. This is technically the second arc done because we've done Romance Dawn, but like I'm not going to ask you this particular question that I plan on asking you a fair bit, Mel. After every
Orange
arc
Town
completion.
was not nearly as good as Romance Dawn. I'm just gonna say, so
Okay.
it was not nearly as good. It had good things. I'm not saying nothing about it was good. It had good things, but it just had a lot of more wasted opportunities, and the stuff that it did reveal was like neat. But do we need to be spending this long on it? Um, so I think it could have used better time management. But
Well,
overall, I didn't hate it. I just wasn't impressed.
we'll quickly explore a couple of things. So I'm going to ask you the official question. I'll ask you, Mal, are you still a One Piece hater?
I am still a One Piece hater. I'm gonna be honest. I am still a One Piece hater. There have been things about it that are good. Okay, I'm not a blind hater, and I feel like my eyes have opened even that much wider from being a blind hater. But I'm still a hater, and I still think it's got a lot of stupid stuff in it. There were some good face gags that but there were also some bad ones. There were some good moments of highlight and tension, and there was also bad ones. And it's like, oh well, no show's perfect. I'm like, yeah, but like a show should be majority good instead of like feeling this 50-50 kind of way. Um, and I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. However, I know that One Piece is very slow, and that basically up until Arlong Park, like nobody gives a shit. So let's see what happens. I honestly think if I were starting up this series, I would have clicked off at this point.
Okay.
I would have been like, okay, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of whatever. I'll hear about it from my friend, and I won't like shut them up when they're talking about it because it's so terrible. No. I'll just listen to when my friends talk about it, and I'll move on with my life. Or maybe like skip ahead in the manga or something. But I'm not an area where like if I weren't watching it for this holistic experience, uh, this is skip worthy.
I
That's
will.
where I am. The title has to be true, and that's the honest feedback.
I mean, my honest opinion is it's just kind of there. It's not terrible. It's okay, but it's nothing special to it. Like I wouldn't go as far as you to say I would stop watching at this point. My main fear is actually the next arc, because that is. I'm not trying to exactly poison the well here. I've brought it up beforehand because we briefly discussed the Netflix one when you watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But Syrup Village and Usopp is probably my second least favorite arc in One Piece.
Well, they handled it really well on Netflix. They handled it really well on the Netflix, like better than it deserved. So I'm probably ready to not like this part either, but I also like Usopp, and I know it can be done better. If anything, that just serves to highlight the anime is like bad, but maybe One
Yeah.
Piece itself is good. Maybe that will be my takeaway at the end of all of this, that One Piece itself is actually good, but the anime is bad. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, there's certain arcs where that's very, very prevalent. I will tell you this much because I mean, you saw like the 4Kids version way back, and you won't remember really any details.
Yeah.
But this is where we take a massive departure in terms of what Netflix did and what the actual series does.
Yeah, the Netflix was like willing to play it for a mature audience, and the original animation was
it's not even that.
Didn't have the same level of stakes or something. Like
the narrative of Syrup Village, it's upcoming, is very different. Well, not very different. There's a lot of similarities between, but you'll see when we actually go through it. It's like a different arc. Just straight up, like, okay, we've still got the same antagonist, a few similar characters in their positions, but all the set pieces are pretty much different.
Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do that they can do in animation that would be like a nightmare logistically for live action, and seeing what that difference ends up being. So yeah, that's what I'll be the positive one and say I look forward to seeing the differences.
I might be the hater for the next arc, and you might tell me all its brilliance. You do have that contrarian streak to you.
I do.
So I guess talking a bit more about Netflix here. Obviously, we can now do a comparison between this arc and the Netflix. So, which do you prefer version-wise?
I think there were a lot there were a lot of things that the Netflix did that I kind of like more in the anime. First of all, the dog was like not in the Netflix, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, it was just a reference of having a dog there.
Yeah, there was just a reference. Same with the lion. But I did like how much the anime was able to emphasize how uniquely dangerous Buggy's pirates are, and Buggy himself. He's played a lot more straight in the anime, and that's something I appreciate as a Buggy stan. Whereas in the Netflix, he's like a joke from day one. And he does subvert that by genuinely nearly drowning Luffy, and that's kind of crazy. So he does have his threat moment, but I'm kind of over characters who are like this weak, pathetic, getting bounced around, secretly blackstabbing kind of character that he was in the Netflix. I appreciate Buggy's character for following along with the idea of like, even I, a clown, have my own dreams and ambitions, and that feels very much closer to the core narrative of what One Piece is about. So for that integrity, I guess I value it.
Yeah, because one of the other things around that as well is how the civilians are handled. Because in this version,
the civilians are handled quite differently.
Whereas
I will say, just aesthetically, Buggy in the Netflix ruined the town way worse. But it was so ruined that it was like, it doesn't look like a town that was ruined. Like in Elden Ring, they designed bosses that once were noble and then now are decayed and destroyed. Like, that's classic Soul series take. It doesn't matter if it looks cool. It has to look like it was noble and now it's gross. Whereas in the Netflix, it just kind of looked like a destroyed nothingness, like a shamrock pile of seawood. Versus in the town, it feels like there's an actual town that is being destroyed, that's being disrupted, and the stakes feel a little bit higher for that, even though the townspeople aren't necessarily in chains. And yes, I suppose the dog story does feed into that, but
I like the dog story, Mal. I like the anime dog story.
The anime version did move me, as begrudging as I am to admit that, but it's still trash. Just because I happen to like trash doesn't mean it's good.
There is one line you earlier said as well, and I am gonna not necessarily call you out on it, but I'm gonna like.
You can call me out. I deserve calling out sometimes.
It's not a call out in that sense. It's more okay. You have offered this up upon the plate here. I shall have you go ahead and indulge me on this point.
Oh, okay.
You said there was wasted potential in this arc.
Yes.
Now, you have DM'd for me. That's how we know each other.
Yeah.
How would you have done it then? What elements of potential are there here that could have
So,
improved it?
first of all, the townsfolk should have been involved earlier, and they should have spent longer at the town. Not much longer, just one night, so that way they could show the townspeople like sneaking in at night while the pirates are drunk or something and trying to reclaim their lives in a small way, but being unable to do anything out in broad daylight. So it shows their resistance better before Luffy comes in and just acts like Jesus. So seeing the townsfolk be more proactive in their own safety, and also see them like looking over heirlooms and pictures, things that have been destroyed, that would have made the town way more impactful, and it would not have taken that long to do. Just a brief scene of somebody recollecting things rather than just one dog. Um, as much as I appreciate the dog as a stand-in, I think they could have had both. The other thing, Zoro's wound. I know it's a cartoon and it's got cartoon logic, but I feel like if they explained what was going on with Zoro and why he is so tough, I'm not saying they need to go into detail like counting his ribs or whatever, but just like it felt very inconsistent, his level of injury, because at one moment he's lifting 500 pounds and then at the other moment he's falling over dead. And so there was some inconsistencies with how they displayed his level of injury and his ability to get back up from it. Because when you get back up from like bleeding out like 5 times over the course of a single arc, then I don't really know how to feel about it anymore, you know. The other thing, yeah, they had a crown and other stuff. They could have made the treasure a bit more interesting.
I'm afraid that one won't necessarily improve too much at all. I mean, treasure in
Yeah,
that sort of sense isn't shown too
because like
often,
half
but
the excitement of treasure is like, what does this mean? Like, if it's not just coins and straight up money, then like treasure is valued. Who's valuing it? Why do they value it? And like giving some insight into the world by like having unique types of treasure, I feel like is a missed opportunity.
I
Uh,
so
another.
I would say there's like a divide on this, right? So you've
Mm,
got the classical treasure that will be framed in such a way, but then you've got, even in this sort of episode or set of episodes here, of Luffy talking about his hat being his treasure and having more
yeah,
personalized items as such later
yeah.
on.
It could have been good if like the townsfolk were like, "Hey, you can keep the gold stuff, but we want like our family keepsakes back." And that was how they split the loot instead of just arbitrarily leaving half of it. I feel like that could have been a much better, you know.
I
But
mean, they
again,
get the
that's not.
town back as well. Buggy is gone.
Yeah, that's true. They get the town itself back, but I don't know if it would have felt more like heartfelt and intricate, because like Bucky isn't just getting gold; he's raiding these people, so it should be these people's treasures. And Luffy's talking about his personal treasure. Let the rest of the people be inspired by Luffy, and talk about their treasures. But then you can't have Luffy run off after pretending to be a bad guy. So oh no, what about my villain of the week formula?
Uh,
And then I already mentioned Zoro's final move was trash. Just trash. That was
Onigiri comes back up fairly frequently.
oh
It is definitely animated better than this instance of it, I will say.
the first but here's the thing, it's not we're on like at least two instances of Onigiri being kind of lackluster. The first one was when he
Oh
takes
yeah,
down
Morgan.
the hand chop guy, the axe
Yeah.
hand guy. And that one was already kind of sketch, but I was like, whatever, it's not about him, it's about Luffy saving his friend. But this one was like, this was his moment, and it just kind of happens, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay. So,
As
it's a
the
it's a fighting anime. You gotta have fights, and they gotta be good.
yeah, as the I guess Zoro hater, in a way, but not really. I actually think there are characters that have way better fights than Zoro on a consistent basis. Um,
That wouldn't surprise me. I have good thoughts about Sanji because they need to animate his whole body. So I feel like he's gonna be good. I remember even just from the intro, I loved seeing his legs spin around and the weird perspective tricks they did with that to make him seem like he just went on forever, his legs. So, uh, yeah, I want to see them be bolder with Zoro's like actual animations. I want some sense of narrative consistency of the threat level. Like he doesn't need to have his intestines falling out and it to be gory, but I need an accurate understanding of how injured he is, or how do I know how much to care? Like how do I really know what the tension is if he's getting back up and doing basically everything he says he's going to do? Then I guess him being injured doesn't really matter, you know? It just takes longer.
Oh, the comments are going to hate me long term because I've got a feeling I'm going to be able to convince you of my line of thought with Zoro. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got some weird regen shit or some other stuff, but I feel like we should save that for like when he starts doing weirder stuff.
That's when that
Maybe
happens.
when he gets like fucked up by Mihawk, we'll come back to that topic.
I am going to go ahead, and for a moment, I'm going to be playing Devil's Fruit Advocate on at least your first element of improvement of having a person go into the town. And this is with like broader context for like later series.
Mm-hmm.
And something you've brought up beforehand, you don't want to see this formula everywhere. So seeing it used at a later point would maybe excuse it not being here for me on the whole. Though I would also maybe argue in your point that having that sort of establishment of the civilization and their attitude to it through that here, because this is like a very beginning point, would be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, you know, as a GM, one of the things you learn is do your best stuff now and come up with more best stuff later. So if they're like holding themselves back, then it's like, for what? Like
Yeah.
I'm watching this right now with my lifespan. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So
like I think very much the priority right now is okay, let's collect members of the crew as soon as possible. Like bring our establishing cast together and then explore things.
Yeah. The thing with the whole Buggy confrontation is, although it set up a decent amount of stuff, it didn't progress the actual narrative that much. Like they got the map. Yeah, sure. But we haven't like seen what that means for them. Like how important is the map really? Like is it a magic map? Do we know about that? Or is it just like, oh yeah, it's a line, you know, it's things tattered, like bro, it can't even it's probably not even accurate anymore.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and air this here, just because I don't think there is like a set point for me to do that in the future. The map of the Grand Line kind of bothers me in terms of I don't feel it's as necessary having got further context. So it's like
Yeah, there's so many, like there's a million different random islands. Like if they were using the map because they said, hey, there's this place on the Grand Line we need to get to, and to do that efficiently, we need a map. Sure, but they're just kind of going, you know, like
I
at least for
mean,
now.
there's a slight explainer. We'll get to that. You know, sort of just after Arlong Park when they're actually heading to the Grand Line and to get the context of okay why that map is necessary. But when you go ahead and explore such a region for however long and it becomes more prominent, like it seems wider reaching than this unattainable goal that it is right now, it's like surely there was other ways. Like so that's like coming up.
But
Oh,
I don't want to focus too much on the negative. I've gotten a lot of my hater comments out of the way. Zoro's fight anims need to be better. Things were kind of slow. The townspeople should have been more involved, and the buggy gigs were fun, but also took up a lot of screen time. Um, and the pacing is just not where I would want it to be even at 1.5. That all said, there were good moments. There were good laughs that I had. Were good animation moments, and Some of the character expressions right now feel very simple. The only one who's not is Luffy. Zoro is simple because he's hiding from himself and whatever his trauma is with the sword stuff. Nami is simple is because she's pretending, and Luffy's surprisingly not simple with how he interacts with others, and so he's kind of carrying the weight there, but he's so dumb that he can't carry as much as I would like him to. Uh, 'Cause he doesn't have any like actually clever plans. He's just, willing to watch people risk themselves, except for when it's inconvenient to him. Um, so yeah, there's room for improvement so far, and it's kind of slow. It's kind of slow. Modern anime, bro. First episode.
This is getting reanimated. I think there was an announcement for more news on the reanimation next month, actually. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
Now, I think we've cleared our discussion in terms of the episode and the arc as a whole.
Mm-hmm.